Today we're going to be painting some olive looking skin on this Games Workshop Haradrim figure from Middle-earth. And I'll be whipping out this paint set that I've wanted to try on the channel for quite a while, and that is the Scale 75 Flesh Tones. At first glance I really like the colours that come in the set, so let's see how they apply onto the miniature. They seem a touch more translucent than Games Workshop and Army Painter paints. And on top of a black undercoat, it did take 3 layers to get complete coverage, which is a tad annoying. So next time I might try and spray the figure either brown or maybe grey, to try and help along the initial base coat layer. I'm so used to adding quick shade washes onto pretty much everything that I paint, and I'll be honest, I reverted back to doing just that for this face. Well, at least for the initial layer. I just find using washes extremely useful when you want to add some shading to a miniature in a quick way. However, I think this African shadow colour may just change that. For those that have seen my previous tutorials, you'll know that I love to use Crusted Saw or Chaotic Red for creating some enhanced shading on skin tones. The African Shadow paint has been watered down to make it more translucent and make it kind of like a wash. But we're painting this on directly into the recesses and the shaded areas of the face. Predominantly around the nose and the eye sockets, as well as the side of the face where the cheeks are. Now that we have our basing and shading complete, it's time to bring out the highlights and make the flesh tones pop out a bit more. This time the paint has been thinned down slightly with water, but not quite as much as what we did with the African Shadow previously. And this will help us give a nice smooth finish as we start picking out some of the more pronounced areas of the face. Here I'm focusing my efforts more on the lower lip, the nose and the top of the cheeks. I let the paint dry completely and then just added a second layer here and there to make some of these areas a little bit more pronounced. I have to say at this point that I'm quite liking the super matte finish that these paints have once they completely dry. They are a little bit different from what I'm used to in the past with Vallejo and Games Workshop, and of course Army Painter, which is predominantly what I use now. I thought at this point the skin tones look pretty good. But for a gaming miniature I want them to be a little bit more visually interesting, so I added a further highlight with some light skin. The intention was to not cover our previous highlight, but rather complement it by adding this lighter colour to the pronounced areas. And you can really see this on the tip of the nose as well as the top of the cheeks just underneath the eye socket. There's just one more detail that I would like to paint on this gentleman, and that will be a slightly reddish lower lip. So that's a bit of the test model done. Haradrim Army?